Hi everyone. Hope this video finds each of you well. I thought I would make a quick video as an update to the final presentation. There's been a couple of questions regarding that, so I just thought I would kind of go over it real quickly to put your minds at ease. So, the presentations are going to be strictly a PowerPoint presentation that your groups will create, and then you will send that to me in email. Before spring break, we set up our groups and chose our topic. If for whatever reason you forget your topic, just go ahead and send me an email, and I will be glad to tell you what your group had selected. You'll recall that I sent you the guidelines as well as the rubric for the presentation earlier in email. There are three principal guidelines that I use as the kind of as a rubric, but also to guide you in your PowerPoint. So, and I sent you an example as a PowerPoint, and it's focused on, I believe, on autism. And since no one is doing that, that would be perfect. So we're not to use that for any other reason, as just simply as an example that you can figure out if they're how they set it up, etc. So the first guideline is going to be focused on demographics, background information. So whatever your topic may be, whatever your issue might be, many of your students, many of your classmates may have a good knowledge base in that area, but sometimes we don't know as much as we think we do, and especially for perhaps if it's nationwide versus the state of Illinois, rural versus urban, etc. So what I want you to do is typically have 2 or 3 slides that are going to give us some stats on the topic, trends, definitions, information, etc. Sometimes students will put an overview, a video overview in there. I wouldn't have the video go any longer than 3 minutes in length. Um, so that would be for the background stuff. Then we get into the second guideline, which is looking at your issue that you've selected as a group. In what ways does that issue impact a student's social emotional learning, their cognition, or their learning in the classroom, or their motivation? Now, since you will be groups of 2, with the exception of one group, I believe it's just one group, but with that, or maybe no, it is 2. Um, Everyone will choose or select 2 areas in which your topic impacts, be it social emotional learning, cognition, or motivation. You'll select 2 of those. For the individuals that are going by themselves, they just need to select 1. So if you choose a topic such as autism, how does autism impact one of those 2 of those 3 areas? So you might say, how does a student who falls on the spectrum in autism, how does that impair or impact their social emotional learning? And now I don't want your belief or what you've heard from another teacher or something like that, or maybe you have a sibling or a family member. I want it to strictly be more empirical in nature. That means I want you to go to the articles to find in ways in which social emotional learning is impacted. Uh, and so then you'll kind of list some areas there. Usually it's a couple slides for if you're doing social emotional learning. And then maybe you take a look at how does a student who falls in the spectrum how does it impact their cognition or their learning, academic learning. So you might have a couple slides there. So you'll look at articles. You can look at a textbook, or you can look at some what they would call tertiary sources, where somebody is reporting what somebody else has found in an article. But I would like to have each of you find, or I would also like you to have an empirical study, an empirical article, firsthand account, somebody has done a study or looked at something, compared something. And that's important, is because we want to realize that when we're looking up information as a teacher or practitioner, we want to make sure that we're not taking secondhand, third-hand account information all the time as our primary source of information. So that's why it's important. Um, So you'll find an article, you'll take a look at it. So if you take a look at social emotional learning, you might have a couple of slides talking about areas that are impacted there. If you take a look at cognition, you might I have a couple slides of ways in which a student's cognition are impaired, academic performance, learning strategies, etc., or motivation, whatever your topic may be. The third guideline is to focus on how does the topic impact a the student's classroom dynamic, perhaps their interaction with their peers, peer relations, or how does it impact a teacher's instruction. And so you might find that some topics or some issues will directly impact a teacher's instructional choices or their strategies, but the classroom dynamic is not impaired much at all, and vice versa. So you have to have a little bit of a little bit of autonomy or freedom there in regards to how you discuss that. So anyway, you'll talk about again how does autism impact the teacher's instructional strategies, and how does it perhaps impact the classroom dynamic. Um, the sources. So some people have asked about sources. I typically want people to find a few articles or some information. They can find some of that stuff online. Some of the stuff I want you to do traditionally. But the truth is that most all the information you want to find is going to be available online. You can find empirical articles or good studies, firsthand accounts. You can look through Google Scholar. You can look through our database at the library, Malpass Library. You can go through PsycInfo, ERIC database, etc. You can stay away from things that are the .coms, maybe a .gov or a .org. You might find some good information, but be careful even with the .orgs, because some of those things, while they may be nonprofits, they may still have an agenda. So you got to be careful of the information that you're going to use. One of the things that I sent along with the presentation was a template. It's I know it's crazy. It's called Evaluating Information, Applying the CRAP Test, which is really nice, right? But anyway, the idea is the CRAP, the acronym, stands for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. And so the idea, you'll see a series of questions there. And what I want each group member to do is that they will find one of the articles that they used for their presentation, and you're going to write basically a summary or an evaluation of the article that you read for your presentation. This will be done individually for each member, and basically you will apply this rubric or this template here. You don't have to answer every question verbatim. You don't have to go through that. But the idea is, I want you to take a look at the article that you're reading, and what weight WEIGHT, what weight does it have for us as teachers or practitioners? And so you will submit that separately uh, with the presentation. So each group member will do a different article. They'll write a kind of a summary evaluation of the article using these criteria. And then that way you get a real feel for how meaningful or how maybe the article wasn't as meaningful as you had hoped it to be. So I think I've answered all the questions there that might be helpful to you. Again, if you don't remember something or have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. All right? Thanks.